What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Out of the Basement. I'm Nate, joined with Justin.
What's up, guys?
And today we are giving our spoiler-filled review of the latest A24 film, Uncut Gems.
This is me. This is how I win.
Starring Adam Sandler, Lakeith Stanfield, Julia Fox, Idina Menzel, and Kevin Garnett. So, a lot of people in this movie. Some pretty big actors. Lakeith, of course, in Get Out and...
Sorry to Bother You,
Yeah.
Knives Out.
Yeah, he was just in Knives Out.
Yeah.
He's good in that movie, too. But there's also a lot of first-time actors like Julia Fox and, of course, Kevin Garnett, who is, in real life, Kevin Garnett. He's a famous basketball player. It was his first role. The movie is also directed by the Safdie brothers, who, although we've only seen one other film from them, I would consider myself a big fan at this point after Uncut Gems.
Yeah, Good Time was...
A great time. It's a 5-star film.
I would agree. I love Good Time.
Yeah, Good Time is absolutely fantastic. Uncut Gems is about Adam Sandler's character, Howard Ratner, who is a...
he's a jeweler.
He's a jeweler, but he also is a big-time gambler. And he gets into a lot of debts. A lot of debts.
One might say he has an addiction.
Yes.
With placing bets.
Yeah, through one way or another, the debts keep on increasing and the situation just keeps getting worse for him. If you're familiar, if you've seen Good Time...
It kind of follows the same structure of you root for the asshole main character.
Like, the main character's a scumbag, and, like, the other people around him are also scumbags, but you, like, can't help but be like, you know, maybe he's not so bad. But it just keeps getting worse and worse through the movie. Adam Sandler just keeps on making terrible mistakes.
Right.
And just, before we really jump into spoilers, I guess... That's the synopsis of the movie, so if you want to check it out, we highly recommend you check it out. This is a great movie right off the bat.
Very suspenseful, very tense. Kind of get anxiety watching a lot of the different sequences that happen.
It does have also a lot of comedic moments, but not in a typical Adam Sandler comedy way.
Right.
I guess it should also be stated for the record, I personally do not like Adam Sandler movies. None of them. I don't think any of them are good.
Right, because most of the time you sit and then you'll hear a mom or dad or someone go, well, his earlier movies, Happy Gilmore.
Billy Madison.
Yeah. I don't like any of his movies either.
It's fine if you like his movies. No hate. No hate.
It's not. JK. Probably best role of his career.
Yeah, I haven't seen... Of course, the other serious movie that everyone always talks about is Punch Drunk Love, the Paul Thomas Anderson film. I have not seen that one, but yes, leaps and bounds, the best.
I'm more of a cobbler guy myself.
Oh yeah, I'm like a don't mess with the Zohan kind of guy.
Or what's the one where he plays a woman, and it's like a twin?
Oh, Jack and Jill.
Classic.
Oh,
what's my name? Dunkachino.
Of course, now we're gonna get into spoilers. So for real, if you have not seen this movie, go check it out. It is a high recommendation from Out of the Basement. But now, it's spoiler time. We're not going to get super detailed, but we are probably going to mention things that happen in the movie that we really like or really don't like. Spoiler alert, there's not really a whole lot to not like in this movie, at least from our opinion.
Right.
So, the things that I really liked, starting out on the positives, of course, like we mentioned, great performances. Adam Sandler... career best performance, again without having seen Punch Drunk Love, but I was surprised. I bought him as the character of Howard.
Right.
I think that was the most important hill to get over, is not seeing him as Adam Sandler, but seeing him as Howard Ratner. And obviously he's got like fake teeth in the movie, he's got the facial hair and like the different haircut, and I think, and the glasses, so like
and I feel like you know someone like him.
Right. You've always... Like, I feel like I've met that guy before. One, like, maybe at my grandparents' house or, like, somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
But you know
very realistic character.
Yeah. Like, the leather... Like, the costume design, the leather jacket, all, like, the jewelry. But then you realize he's flat broke, pretty much. And he's just, like, putting on a front that he has all of this money. And, of course, I mean, he does get money because he pawns things. Like, I could not believe this scene when
he immediately pawned the ring.
Yes. So in the film, Kevin Garnett really wants the uncut gem in the movie, and
it's like some super rare.
Yeah,
it's a rock, but it's like filled with very different a variety
opals.
Of gems. And,
opals. And it's valued at $1 million. So Howard also wants to use this uncut gem to pay his debts back. He thinks this is the answer to all of his problems.
Right.
But then Kevin Garnett gets involved, and he really likes it, so they do a little trade. Kevin Garnett gets to keep the gem.
I knew that was not a good idea.
As soon as that started happening, I was like, Howard, what are you doing? Because you're sitting here believing like 100%. You find out later in the movie that it's not exactly as valuable as Howard thought it was. But at the time, you're like, dude, he's going to let Kevin Garnett walk away with this $1 million thing, and Kevin Garnett's going to take it, and he's never going to see it again. Because he's a famous basketball player, and he could just be like, fuck this guy.
Yeah. And I was thinking, like, a super powerful, like, rich, popular basketball player.
Yeah.
I don't know. A little shady.
So and then for collateral, Kevin Garnett gives him his championship ring, and literally moments later, Howard goes and pawns it and starts making bets. And obviously, that's a pretty big theme in the movie is gambling addiction.
Yeah, I think one of my main takeaways from the movie and the character is that like there's no such thing as good enough.
Yeah.
For the character, which ultimately ends in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I think that has, like, the main message is that, like, nothing is ever good enough with, like, a gambling addiction. Like, because it's shown that he has a super nice house. Mm-hmm. He has a family, kids, nice wife. But it's, like, never good enough. He needs more and more and more.
Because then at the same time, he's got an apartment. He's got a super hot young girlfriend.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely illustrates that like with gambling addiction, like it's never gonna be enough.
And one aspect of the film is that it was in some parts it was a lot more like kind of experimental and like art house than I was expecting, especially at the beginning. I was like, am I in for a trip?
The beginning.
Am I in for a trip? It's like a very psychedelic. I
was getting
like
some
universe, colorful, like Nicholas Winding Refn vibes.
Yeah, I was getting some Annihilation vibes.
Yeah,
and
masterful opening sequence when that like psychedelic, like universe, like colorful thing morphs into the colonoscopy screen, and you eventually realize. Like, I remember my girlfriend going, like, what's that? I was like, I think that's the inside of a butthole.
Yeah.
That we're looking at right now. And I think, I might be stretching here, but I think it's to signify how you're going to feel. Like, you're clenching, like, when you have something, a colonoscopy, you're like, oh my God, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So, like, that's how tensed you're going to be. It's like a symbolism for how you're going to feel throughout the duration of the movie.
True.
And it's not wrong.
Yeah, it is a butthole clencher through and through. One thing I also want to mention is the score. Done by the same guy whose name escapes me at the moment, as same composer as Good Time. I mean, you can immediately tell.
You're right. Electro, synthy, synth wave.
Yeah, but it's like, it's lighter, it's a little bit more ambient. It's kind of dreamy in a lot of ways, too. I feel like the music, as soon as it started, I was like, it was just like
indie film.
It was like putting on a nice blanket, and I was like, I know it's an indie film.
The crowd was surprisingly big for an A24 as well.
Yeah, my crowd
probably because Adam Sandler.
Yeah, my crowd was pretty solid too. Respectful crowd, which was shocking.
Right.
Because indie films can go one way or another. You could get all the people that are like, oh yeah, I'm really into this, but then you can get the people that were like, I thought this was supposed to be the scariest or funniest or most dramatic movie of all time, and I'm upset.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I was so happy to have a good crowd experience as well. Going back to the acting, something we didn't mention either, like we said, there's a lot of first-time actors in this movie. Julia Fox, this is her first film. I thought she was pretty very well. She had a lot of emotional scenes. She had a pretty good range of her emotions, and I was like, man, like, big respect. Same thing with Kevin Garnett, like we were saying. He's a basketball player, and he mostly plays himself, but you always hear that it's not so easy to play yourself.
Right.
So I thought he did a really great job. I mean, I don't follow basketball or anything like that, so I don't know how he is in real life versus how he's portrayed in the movie, but I bought his character.
Right.
Like, I was like, oh, okay. Like, and you find out, you know, he takes the uncut gem and he ends up doing really well, which I liked the incorporation of old basketball games, because this movie takes place in 2012.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to say, is that it's
so
so
immersive.
weird how 2012 could be looked at as a period piece.
Yeah.
And there's very subtle things that show that it's 2012. Like, you have the song from Good Kid, Mad City playing in the background. You have Kevin Garnett's introduction was a Waka Flocka song.
Yep.
You just hear Maybach music and like all this other stuff.
And The Weeknd, who that was like before he was like crazy popular, but like they put him in the movie as like a small artist, and it would have been around that time that he was like in that position. So it does a really good job of subtly immersing you back into 2012 with the music cues, like you were saying, and like seeing someone like The Weeknd performing in like a nightclub.
Yeah.
Something that would never happen.
Right.
And yeah, the movie's intense, it's engaging. My eyes were glued to the screen from the minute the movie started till the minute it ended.
A totally like unexpected things happened.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of expectations were subverted, if you will. Like, you just never know what's going to happen with this character. Like, I thought they were going to kill him, like, plenty of times throughout the movie. I'm like, okay. Like, when he was at the school and the guys were sitting behind him and he goes out and they're chasing him down, they put him in the trunk.
Yeah.
I was like, this is how he dies. But then when he encounters the thugs, it's like his brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And then he has his goons.
Right.
And when they, like, punch him in the middle of the street, I'm like, he keeps pushing these guys and pushing these guys and pushing these guys. And when he finally sold the gem, I'm like, all right, not that big of a deal. He can still sell it to Kevin Garnett. And then he just turns around and bets it again.
Yeah.
100% of the money. Where he could have paid off all his debts with just the 175. But he's like, no, I need to go make over $1 million now.
Yeah.
And I knew the ending was coming. I was like, there's no way. He's pushing this. He just keeps going and going and going. And I'm like, this is the classic tale of, like, you push enough times, you just get obliterated.
I think that
especially when he locked them in the thing and they were like sweating. I'm like, especially the one goon who's like, you could tell he's a little unhinged and like a lot more aggressive than the other ones. I'm like, there's no way he's gonna live through this.
It still shocked me. Again, final spoilers if you're still watching this movie and you don't want to know what happens. When Howard straight up gets shot in the face at the end of the movie. It was still a shocking moment, but then I was also like, oh yeah, this is a Safdie brothers film. The shitty individual we're following doesn't have a happy ending.
Right.
Because same thing happens with Robert Pattinson's character.
Well, not the same.
Well, not the same thing, but I mean, he gets arrested.
Right.
So he's going to jail. But
yeah, and that cue, it was done his death was done so nonchalantly and like not like pretty unceremoniously, and there's that great shot where it kind of shows him like getting shot, but then it pans straight up to the ceiling and you see the reflection.
Yeah.
That was like probably my favorite moment of cinematography, is because like you think like, wait, did that just happen? Because it instantly cuts to like going up, and then you just see him like laying there dead. I'm like, that was a pretty good shot.
Yeah, and I love when movies have the balls to just say, that's it.
Because it's realistic. Like, that guy was aggressive throughout the whole film, and then he gets locked in between, like, the doors because you have to buzz in and out, and they're just sitting there sweating, and just like getting so pissed.
How long's a basketball game? I don't really know.
Probably a couple hours.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine, like, at least an hour, so you're sitting in that small room with two other people, they're all sweating. And yeah, when he just pops Howard in the face, I was like, oh shit.
And then the other guy's like, what the fuck did you... Like, he was mad at him, and then he ends up getting shot, too.
Yeah, the brother-in-law gets shot as well, which I was like, oh my god, like, this guy is so unhinged.
Yeah, and then they just steal everything from the pawn shop.
Yeah, that was...
So it's kind of open-ended because Julia Fox's character was on the way back, right?
Yeah.
So is she about to walk into a trap?
Right.
So... open-ended, but I like ambiguousness.
Yeah, it makes you...
ambiguity.
You can create your own ending to the movie with your imagination. You get to fill in the blanks yourself. Yeah, and just very briefly, I'd say if we had anything to really complain about, Adam Sandler's crying scene was a little to me. I wasn't really buying it. I know you said you didn't have an issue with it, but I was just kind of like...
It didn't bother me as much. Maybe a little bit of trimming.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit of trimming. My questions will probably be answered on a rewatch, but I thought there were some scenes that I thought could be cut, like when they were in the car with the family and he has to make a stop at the apartment and like the kid has to go to the bathroom, and I was like, what was the point of the kid having to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Nothing comes of it. I don't remember. I mean, it might have happened, but there's just like little tiny little bits like that, and I'm like, did that really need to be in there? But ultimately, just nitpicking at that point.
Yeah. So overall, Uncut Gems is a satisfying, intense, engaging film. Great performances from Adam Sandler and the other cast I mentioned earlier in the video.
Yeah. We need more movies like this.
Yeah. I'm happy that so far it's A24's most or highest grossing film. Yeah. I think it absolutely deserves it. Although I would still say Good Time is a better film, in my opinion, than this one. But A24 deserves to have some success, so they, work on your Blu-ray releases. But Uncut Gems deserves it because it's still a really great film, and it's nice to see Adam Sandler step out of his stupid fucking humor and deliver a solid performance.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I got to say.
Yeah,
what about you?
Go see it. Support it.
Yeah, go see it in theaters. Check this movie out if it sounds interesting to you. It's 100% worth seeing in a theater. It's worth buying day one on Blu-ray.
I'll say it.
There you go. So that was our review for Uncut Gems. Of course, if you saw the movie, what did you think about it? Let's talk about the film down below. Of course, if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. Ring that bell for notifications. Like I said in previous videos, we're trying to get back into the movie stuff. This is our first little effort here. All right. So we also talk about action figures and Blu-rays, though. Although Blu-rays, movies, kind of the same thing, but a little bit different. So if any of that is interesting to you, make sure you hit subscribe. Of course, I'm Nate. I've been joined with Justin.
See you guys later.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we will see you next time.